Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another spine-tingling, bone-crunching, eye-popping, blood-splattering.
That sounds squicky and really gory.
Yes, it is. You know why? Because tonight is Saturday Night Nightmare!
Oh!
That's right, folks. You know that sound. It's the howling of the moon.
The howling of the moon.
The howling of the moon. Wow.
Woo!
The howling of the wolf. I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode, but if you didn't, my fiance is back.
Yay! I'm still broken, but I'm not on drugs anymore.
Sorry.
Well, I'm not on opioids anymore.
But yes, thank you guys for your kind words and support last week. For that was very nice of you guys, and she really enjoyed all of that. And even though she's suffering, she will be good. She will be fine.
Yes.
Especially more kind words from you guys. Keep them running. But let's get down to business tonight on this episode of Saturday Night Nightmare. We are going to be diving into some uncomfortability for our lady of the night right here.
Because I realized you guys really like it when we're uncomfortable. So we've decided to get uncomfortable.
Yes. And we are going to get uncomfortable with a cult classic called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original.
The original. I think it's 1974?
I believe
78?
So. Yeah, something like that. In the 70s, the mid-70s, mid to late.
This is one of those where I started watching it, and then it could have been the day, or it could have just been I just started feeling really uncomfortable and needed to turn it off. So yeah.
But yes, folks, yes.
We love you this much.
And beyond the hands, of course. But yeah, we are going to be watching and giving our input on this movie. It is, as I said, it's a cult classic, which means that there's tons of people who hated it, but a shit ton of people more who loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those movies where it's very grimy, very dirty, very realistic looking for its time. So it did give people the chills and everything.
I do know it's got great practical effects.
Yes.
You know, it's one of those things that professional haunted houses strive for.
Yeah, and just as I said last week when we were watching Your Next, it has this realism, just like how last week's episode was about home invasion. This is basically about what happens if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere.
So don't get stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and you kind of see a house that you think has a phone or something, and it turns into a homicidal. What else? A homicidal, almost cannibalistic slaughterfest. So yeah, you know what this movie
Don't go to the house. Hitchhike. I don't care.
This movie, just to give a little history, this movie is loosely based off of a true story.
It is. It's based off
Utah?
It's based, actually, Leatherface is based off of the serial killer Ed Gein, who would skin his victims and make... He would wear their faces. He would make clothing out of them, lampshades.
He made female nipples out of a belt.
He made a belt out of female nipples, you mean?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I didn't need to repeat of that one, but yeah.
So Ed Gein was a sick individual.
Yeah, and this movie kind of heightens it with an entire family.
Yeah.
This is the original show, the entire family, right?
I think so.
Not just the Leatherface. Well, you know what? We'll figure it out when we watch it.
I think so, yeah. But
So yeah, folks,
okay.
Strap in and get ready for a slaughterfest Thanks for looking at the camera with your beautiful eyes.
That's my baby.
As we get into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Armadillo.
Armadillo.
Good one. Oh my God. What are you doing?
Dumbass. There he is.
Wow!
It's okay, Peter. Oh, he hit him just.
Ooh. This person's an artist.
They've got a lot of time on their hands. Oh, I know what's coming. Oh, I know what's coming. Oh God, I know what's coming.
Oh shit.
Oh, yep. Right in the noggin. Get back in there. Oh, poor Franklin.
Wow! Come on! Damn!
Oh, fudge.
He is hacking him.
Like a Christmas ham.
Real.
Oh, lordy.
Damn.
You're lucky. They didn't hit a concrete step.
Yep.
They put her in an armchair. Nope. For the rest of her life.
Or for at least as long as this season is going. He's awake.
He's alive?
Oh my God! Oh, what?
Away from the truck.
You're gonna die. Wow.
Maybe not. At least not.
Oh, yeah, that hurts.
Woo! Okay. So completely in the middle of it, well, actually in the beginning of it, I realized that the one I had to turn off was actually the remake because they took a really good concept and they made it super gory with all those CGI effects because they could.
Ooh, CGI? I don't remember the remake
Oh,
having CGI.
There was a lot. It was okay. So it was like a mix.
Okay, so but let's talk about this.
Right. So I loved this. I actually really loved this because, like we had said earlier, like they showed you him lifting the one girl and putting her on the hook, but they didn't show the hook entering her back. They made you think about it. They made you imagine it. And I think when they do that, it gets in your head more. And
then the part where he was basically hacking up the guy in front of her.
Yeah.
They didn't show those parts
right.
Either.
But they made you think about it. Like they like in my personal visual, I saw that chainsaw, hacking him off at the top of the leg and hacking off a piece of his torso, and it's as grisly as you want to make it in your head. Special effects were cool, though minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa and Grandma, man. Those makeups were something. Well, I mean, makeup mostly on Grandpa. I think Grandma was just a prop.
Grandpa was.
But Grandpa
was dead.
I thought he was too until he started sucking on her finger. That was crazy.
That was like a vampire being brought back to life.
Right.
Brink of death.
Well, if you think he doesn't have any eyeballs, he probably doesn't have any teeth left in his mouth. So he can only suck on the blood.
And he gets his nourishment from the blood.
Right. Yeah. And they're all cannibals, so yeah.
Yep.
Best Darren barbecue in the county.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and like, yeah, the girl who played, I think her name was Sally, was the main character.
Yeah, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Just her terror. Like, you see a lot of horror movies where it's like,
yeah.
This wasn't that. Like, you literally felt her terror.
Yeah.
And her mental breaking.
Yeah, especially at the very end where she just completely lost it. In that chair was quite possibly her best reaction.
That's where I'm really pulling it from too. Is like, now when she was running around and she was trying to get away from them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was you saw it there too, but like, yeah, when she's strapped to the armchair, she's really flipping the fuck out. And, you know, a real person probably wouldn't stop screaming. Because a lot of the time when you see that sort of thing, like, they'll scream, somebody will slap them around and they'll stop screaming. She just kept going. So...
And it kind of brought me back to the point of when the other girl was reading that American astrology thing, where, you might today, it's worse for a Capricorn because, your one day today could be, and like crazy impossible thing could happen, and you'd have to pinch yourself to see if you were alive or something like that, or
you were dreaming or whatever. Yeah,
do so you know that you're not dreaming. And I'm like, well, that was probably her point of like just screaming to death. Can't to the point of, I can't believe this is really happening. Oh my god!
And that camera work. That camera work in that chair scene.
Yeah, that old school camera work.
It was just like this really crazy like close up, and it kept getting closer and closer and closer each shot. It was, at first it was just her face, and then it was like the side of her face, including her eye, and then it was her eye, and then it was like her pupil, and then it was like the veins in her eyes. And like the tears streaming down her face, out of her eye, it was so intimate. Yeah. Like, it really pulled you in.
Most cameras back then, as far as I know, could not get a shot that good like that.
Oh, they were probably up in her shit while she was freaking the fuck out in that scene.
Oh yeah.
Hello, Kitty.
Yeah.
And again, the music,
or like thereof.
Well, I would still call it music, even though it was more of a cacophony of sounds.
Please explain to people who might not know what.
Okay, so a cacophony is like a bunch of varying sounds being melded together to create some sort of like bigger, like a set of like confusing sound. So I wouldn't necessarily call this the music that they used in certain parts. Like, you think melody and harmony, something that kind of like forms something that isn't that's semi-pleasant to the ear, even if it's meant to build tension. A good example of using music to build tension is Jaws. There's that that symphonic thing, with a cacophony, you've got a bunch of different instruments playing at different, I don't want to say levels, but like, for example, you've got like some horns or something doing some crazy shit, not, like random notes, and then they're crashing cymbals over here, and it doesn't really match up. It more confuses your ear and makes your brain almost play ping pong with itself, because it's just like, and it's always in these high tension moments or these confusing moments for the characters. So, like, for example, when she's running towards the house the first time, I think it's when she's going towards the house, or was it when Crazy Shirt was going towards the house? When Crazy Shirt was going towards the house, they're building that tension, because, and they've got that clashing music.
Leatherface's theme song, I like the fact that it was just the sound of the chainsaw.
Yeah, that's it.
That was so genius.
All you heard that,
like, you immediately knew.
There he is.
You immediately knew that's him. Like, coming. You know?
Exactly.
It's kind of like Jason's, whole thing, and then Freddy Krueger with the little kids singing and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Right. So I loved. Oh, and I gotta give props to the guy that plays the crazy brother. Like, well, I mean, they're all crazy. The flaily crazy brother, not Leatherface. Because it takes acting chops. Speaking as someone that does theater, it takes acting chops to play psychotic.
Edwin Neal, that's his name.
Edwin Neal, that's the actor's name.
Yes.
Okay.
He was the hitchhiker.
Oh, okay. His name is Hitchhiker. Okay, in this, that to convincingly play a psychotic without coming off as cheesy. And he was like, if he had gone even a step further into the area, he would have been laughable. You would have laughed at his character. But he went just so far in that loony bit, because even in the beginning, when you first see him and they first pick him up, you giggle at him a little, because I was like, oh, who's this weird fuck, And then he grabs the knife and he cuts his hand, and they're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
And then he takes the pictures, like, okay, you're going to pay me for the picture. No. So he burns it, which is almost like a voodoo ritual, where he, like, throws it, and it's like he just so happens to have, you can see that he burnt things.
Oh, yeah.
On that tinfoil before. He just so happens to have this tinfoil and this, like, flare powder available to do this. So you can tell he's probably done this with all those other cars that are under the like the camouflage thing. And then, of course, when he, like, slices Franklin's arm, it's like, whoa, this guy is fucking crazy as hell.
And then marks the van after.
Yeah, and you see that he didn't just smear it. No, he did a mark on the side of the van. So, yeah. Huge props to that guy. Really enjoyed his performance.
Definitely. So, what are you going to rate it? Here's one thing. Oh, before I go for the rating,
I like totally hijacked this entire like review.
No, that is fine.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. That is fine. That is fine. Okay, you know what? Since you gave it your pros,
yes,
I'm going to talk about some of the cons.
Yes, please.
Now, it did give the epitome of what the horror aspect is. But the first act dragged too long.
A little bit too much of crazy teenagers being crazy
long.
Teenagers.
They were boring teenagers, not even crazy.
Yeah, it's not like they were having sex or anything like that either.
Yeah,
it was
but
like,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not like they were even doing any. The only fucked up thing that they were doing was leaving Franklin there.
Yeah, fuck those
like,
guys.
Seriously, like show some respect to the handicap, bro.
Yeah.
But other than that, like that's why I said they deserve to die.
Yeah.
But that was the first thing. The first act was so slow. If you didn't pay attention much, you wouldn't really notice. Like when you hear it's been a while since I've seen this, but I do remember hearing those radio stations in the background. Now hearing it and paying attention to them, it's basically telling what the hitchhiker has been doing.
Yes. Yes.
Which is interesting. And talking about, missing people and these strange murders or something like that.
Exactly. It's basically they're telling the news reports of the area.
Yeah. Now it's funny because the sequel kind of tells it like it was because the cops show up and they tell it like it's a police report.
Yeah, well, which is funny because if you think about Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell, he adopted this same style on those movies.
Yes, but like I said, the first act for me was very slow, very unappealing.
After they got rid of the hitchhiker, you thought it was slow. Because I thought before they picked up the hitchhiker,
before they got to the that father's house.
Okay.
For me,
that's when it slowed down.
No, that's when it started speeding up, because after that is when those two went to the other house. When they found out gas, when they heard the sound of the thing. For me, no,
I know. I'm just trying to I'm trying to figure out.
The hitchhiker was before they got to the house.
Before they got to so we see them. They're in a car. They stop. Franklin's got to pee, and he falls down the hill. Then they're back in the car. They pick up the hitchhiker. Yeah, they smell the slaughterhouse. They pick up the hitchhiker.
Scene was cool.
And then it was
still dragging after that. They got him out the thing.
Right. They got him out of the thing, and then they hit the gas station.
Right.
Okay. And then they were at the house. I felt that span where they were at the house went on too long.
Well, I mean, that's why I said from the very beginning of the movie to the point where those two leave the house when they go to the creek.
So you even thought the hitchhiker part was slow?
A little bit. Some of it wasn't needed for me anyway.
Okay.
Just like the house wasn't needed, like parts of the house wasn't needed, parts of them going to the graveyard wasn't needed, like
that didn't make any sense.
None of that was important unless
I think what they were trying to do with that in a weird convoluted way, and I completely understand what you're talking about, because they kept saying it was almost like they were on an old family tour. Yeah. Like of the old homestead. Yeah,
Sally and Franklin.
Yeah, it was the old homestead area. So, because she says, my granddad's buried in this cemetery, which happens to be the cemetery where the hitchhiker has been, making sculptures out of corpses on top of gravesite monuments. So that's why they go there and they ask permission to go in, but all the weird locals, that made no sense whatsoever at all.
You know what would have been pretty cool if they found something of their grandfather's in the
right,
house.
Right.
That would have made perfect sense for them.
And then they go to the house, which was the grandmother. It was their grandparents' house.
Yeah.
Which their father owns now.
Never kept it up at all. Which I don't understand.
Yeah, so it was almost like they were kind of trying to relive some shit, which was weird.
That's the thing. You're gonna go to the house that your grandparents' house that your dad owns now.
No, I could understand if it was like to stay there.
If it was still livable, sure.
Right.
But this place was abandoned for I don't know how many years.
Right.
It was odd. It was weird.
Right, and they didn't act like they didn't know it was in that condition either.
Right. They didn't. Laughing around.
Look at my wallpaper.
I was like, this is it.
That part I thought was completely irritating.
Now I was about to say I saw you were trying to continue after that. I was like,
no.
I was about to say don't hijack it too much.
No, I'm not.
And then the funny thing is, I know you might probably say, oh, it wasn't enough gore and stuff like that. Funny thing is, I found on my part, you would think that I would say it wasn't enough. But I was actually fine with this. Yeah. Because it made me dive into my own imagination about it, which was really cool. Exactly. And my imagination is really fucked up.
Yeah, so is mine at times.
I was imagining so much more horrible shit.
I just didn't speak mine aloud, but yeah.
But yeah, it's. I actually thought that was not so bad. The like I said, the main thing that got me was the first act of the movie. Mm-hmm. The second, I did feel after it was just Sally. Mm-hmm. I felt that was too dragged on too.
It could have been shortened a bit.
Yes,
like the dinner table scene could have been shortened down a little bit.
Very, very nice, wonderfully shot scene. But the thing is, it's like they played around with her too much.
Right, like if it had been the dinner,
yeah,
they brought Grandpa down.
Yeah,
she freaks out for a few a minute.
Yeah, then
they do the nice pan in with her freaking out on her face, and then let's let Grandpa have fun. Whack, 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 and then like they probably could have cut like 4 or 5 minutes out of that scene.
Like I feel that when she would have woke up, she almost woke up into like kind of like tied over that pan or bowl that she was
right.
I wish she would have woke up like that with the giving that fear that they were going to kill her. At like this point, it looked like they were just going to feed her dinner or some shit like that. I'm like,
well, her friends, yeah.
Yeah, well, but yeah, to me, those are the only two technically that really got me. The rest of the movie was actually
valid points.
Yeah, the rest of the movie was actually fairly good.
Yeah.
Did I feel frightened in the way of like jump scares? No.
I do admit they got me the one time.
Oh.
They did give me the one time.
Yeah.
Because we were talking or something, or I was like going to get my water or whatever. I think it was right before Franklin died. It was like, boom, there's Leatherface. Because it was more jarring because I wasn't because
the light got turned on. But yeah, like as far as like jump scares, it didn't get me. But psychologically, this can really mess with you if especially if you really think about the factor of
this kind of shit happened.
Yeah, that this movie is loosely based off of a true story. So that kind of messes with you for a bit.
Like I said, it's definitely the Ed Gein thing, but I think you are also right that there was a series of chainsaw murders.
Yeah.
Ed Gein was also a cannibal, by the way. He didn't just skin his victims and wear their skin and make like home furnishings with them. Mm-hmm. He ate them as well.
Yeah, he was a satanic bastard. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me your rating, young lady.
Oh my
Atoms.
God. 8.5?
I can deal with 8.5.
8.5.
I was gonna go 8, but 8.5. I can give it that half. All right.
I was like waffling between 8 and 9, so 8.5 is a good middle ground.
Wow, I was expecting a little bit more from you, but okay. Quickly, give me what.
If it had a couple more, at least jump scares.
Some frightening moments, yeah.
A little more frightening moments. I mean, don't get me wrong, my heart was racing a little, you know, like when we were like in certain points, and you know, like I said, psychologically fantastic. But yeah, if it had a few more jump scares, I probably would have gone up to a 9.
Okay. Well, you heard that, guys. 8.5 screams for you. That's right. Before we end the show, I just want to thank 2 of our sponsors for this evening for this video. First, as usual, we're going to thank Wild Bill's Craft Beverages for sponsoring this video.
Thank you, Wild Bill.
You guys can go to drinkwildbills.com, get 10% off by putting in the code TrueStoryBro, and you guys can get all their apparel, all their drinks, and other miscellaneous things that they have on their store.
Delicious.
Really good stuff. They have no fructose corn syrup, no artificial stuff, no caffeine, and it's just all around good. It's even good for vegans, you know. It's even great for them. So they can have it. Gluten-free, all that stuff. So drinkwildbills.com, use the code TrueStoryBro, get 10% off. The next one I want to thank is Chairs for Gaming. Chairs for Gaming. Yes, you guys can get all your gaming equipment from gaming desks, gaming chairs, of course. Duh. Cool ottomans and a whole bunch of other nice gaming furniture for your office space or anything like that.
Nice.
So you can also put in the code TrueStoryBro and get 10% off of everything on your checkout list.
Nice.
Yeah, right. I think I'm kind of thinking some other cool stuff later down the line. You know? But you guys are gonna have to wait for that another time. But until then, guys, thank you guys for watching this episode of Saturday Night Nightmare. I was about to say something else. Thank you guys for watching Saturday Night Nightmare. We do appreciate you every day, every time you watch us. We have
so much fun doing this for you guys. We really do.
We do. And it proves that you guys are enjoying because we see the comments. I read them all the time. And we are definitely going to be listening to a lot of the requests that we got.
Yes.
Of the movies. They are coming. And we will be thanking you on each of those episodes that we're going to be watching, those movies. So we're going to thank you in advance for that. Of course, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. And when you do, hit the bell to make sure you get updated on all episodes of Saturday Night Nightmare and anything True Story Bro related. Tonight's just interesting, awesome. I'm liking this new fresh take of this show now. It's really cool. Oh man. But until then, guys, we're gonna keep it real.
And we're gonna keep it spooky.
But as always, we're gonna keep it real spooky. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.